It should be with your function keys. Oh, sorry.
And welcome to the University of South Alabama's YouTube stream. Today we're looking at our Overwatch team, and they will be going up against Limestone University. We'll go ahead and start. Looks like the University of South Alabama is running a Diva, and Limestone is running an Orisa, so that'll be an interesting matchup to see between the two of them. It also looks like Limestone is running Pharmacy right now with a Pharah Mercy.
It's looking like a little bit of a poke brawl coming out from the side of Limestone. South Alabama looking more for that brawl kind of style. For this point, I see the comp definitely favors Limestone. Unfortunately, I say that we do get an early pick from Vulture onto the Orisa. That's a big pick coming in from South Alabama.
Now, Limestone is down their tank now, but it's really up to if we can get these DPSs for Limestone down as well. It does look like they are being pushed back.
With that early pick on the Orisa, that makes Grig swap over to the Ramattra. Ramattra is still a good option for a tank, even though he just got some buffs or nerfs recently. My bad.
Yeah, I think but his nerf on that ultimate it's still incredibly powerful. Yes, it may not be infinite now, but especially on these point capture maps, if you pop, you have 20 seconds to defend or push off that point.
And I think Ramatra's a good option here too. I mean, Isabel or Neptunica to eat with her DM those fists from Ramatra, so really good option coming out from Grig.
I think another thing that is working in favor of South Alabama right now is, as a support player myself, I have to look at the support comps that they're running, and we can see from Limestone we have a Moira and a Mercy. Mercy did just get her healing nerfed, I think from 55 to 45, and Moira, depending on the player, can have a pretty low healing output. So it looks like South Alabama has the better support comp. And it also depends on how Limestone wants to play with the Moira Mercy.
Right, and South Alabama's holding pretty effectively here. They're holding close corner on this bridge. Here comes a tire coming out from Whisper. Gonna see this go on the bridge. Kills the Zarya.
And that is their tank down, with South Alabama ticking up to 85% now.
The pharmacy down too. Yeah, this is looking like a 100-0 on for the side of South Alabama. Unfortunately for Limestone, not able to break this defense from South.
And running a Lucio on this map, you can pretty much hold that bridge indefinitely. It's a good D.Va ult displacing most of Limestone's team there, but they are pushing back in now. Bob is on the point, which will make Mercy's job very, very difficult.
Yeah, and with the Bob and the Kiriko ultimate on point and the D.Va bomb to mitigate them coming in to a contest, I mean, that was a great defense coming out from South Alabama once they were able to capture that point. What I would have liked to see Limestone possibly do is they were swapping a lot. And, you know, if you're new to Overwatch or anything like that, whenever you swap off character, you lose a good chunk of your ult charge. You only get to stay up to 25% maximum. And we saw their tank, Grig, swap from Arista to Ramatra to Zarya, and they were just not able to get clean ultimate rotations like South Alabama were.
And I'll be honest, there aren't a whole lot of D.Va, like good D.Va players that I see, so Neptunica might have an advantage here if Limestone isn't sure which tank they should use to counter this D.Va.
Right, and I want to point out something here. You see South Alabama on the Junkrat. Junkrat, an amazing pick in this close quarters, falls on control center. You see it right there. It gets an early kill onto a Moira. That shouldn't be happening.
We do see a little bit of an increase in overall healing output for Limestone here with the Mercy to Kiriko switch, but they are now, it looks like they switched to a Sojourn, but, you know, I think it's very obvious to most Overwatch players that Sojourn is most powerful with that Mercy composition. So maybe for
Right,
Limestone here, a good switch would be a Kiriko Mercy.
right, and Sojourn a great option, but I would still like to see one of their DPS players swap over to the Junkrat. Junkrat offers so much spam, so much damage in these close quarters. Nice little kill coming out from Flex Slam across the map onto their Ashe, puts South Alabama up 5-4 in this fight.
Get a little
Cesar
DPS
walking past our D.Va. Yep.
It does.
And I know he's been working on that one.
Yeah. But I mean, this Junkrat is almost entirely unpunished.
Neptunica a little bit out of position there, pushed up a little too far, not able to eat any of the damage coming in from the Moira and the Zarya. Nice little Graviton coming in from Zarya to guarantee this fight win coming out for Limestone.
Oh my goodness. Flexlam getting a pick on Zarya before falling, and that will be a capture point for Limestone. 46% is not bad, though.
And if South Alabama goes fast here, they do have the Lucio. They are up 5-4 in this fight. They can take maybe a little early poke. I mean, DPS Kiriko sure is doing work for Flex. Maybe you can get another quick kill.
And it does seem like Flexlam is keeping up with the healing on top of the DPS that he's doing. Sinister, before he passed away to the Susanna McCree, is doing pretty well with his utility overall and speed boosting the team to get those really fast pushes together. Does look like Neptunica will lose her mech there.
And this is a good read from Limestone. Limestone saw that Neptunica, that D.Va player, her DM Matrix cannot mitigate the Zarya charge as well as the Moira. So I think it's a really good option coming out from Limestone to go with this Moira Zarya. Offers them a little more brawl capability, just run past the D.Va and do some damage.
It does look like we have Bob coming out onto the point, and South Alabama will try and take advantage of this ult. We do have a Moira ult coming out from Beetle, as well as the High Noon, not able to find anyone.
Big Rip Tower coming out from Whisper, cleans up 2. Neptunica able to find 1 herself on the McCree. Whisper a 3rd. Vulture cleans up the fight. That's a fight win for South Alabama at this point.
And it's an incredible team kill at a very, very crucial point in the match, as Limestone has now boosted it up to 70%. And South Alabama will play up for some space here.
And what's good about that team fight is that it happened quickly. Limestone on that engage, South Alabama was able to beat them off the point with them not giving up too much point percentage. So that was a really good fight coming out from South Alabama. Whisper does go down early in this fight. Sinister is soon to follow.
It
Vulture
does
does
look
get a counter
like
pit.
South Alabama is in the advantage in this fight. They still have 2 ults coming out, and Limestone only with that Zarya ult. However, if McCree is able to pick off that DPS and continue this pressure, it does not look good for South Alabama, as Limestone might be able to take back this point right at 95%.
Yeah, and Susano's doing just amazing work on this McCree. Was able to kill Vulture early, was able to kill Sinister whenever he got back to the point, and pick off a third as well in the mid fight. Susano really won that team fight for Limestone all on his own. What a great play
An
coming out from him.
incredible McCree. Very, very good
Yes.
DPS. It
It'll be
does
interesting
look
to see
like
how South Alabama does retake this. 2 ults coming up from side of Limestone, as well as that overclock soon coming up. However, South Alabama does have this beat. Let's see what they can do with it.
we do have the McCree ult able to get off of one of South
Yeah,
Alabama's supports, and this
and an
does not
Ajax
look
coming in
good.
from Sinister, unfortunately. He was in the middle of casting his ult and got caught out there from the McCree ult, and that just completely blew up that fight.
And that would be game. An incredible play by Limestone Susano. This McCree is deadly.
Yeah, I want to give out a shout to Susano. He was able to win their engage coming into that point to flip over for Limestone, and then that last fight there, you saw Sinister have the sound barrier. Sound barrier. If he was able to get that off, it could have been a one and done deal for South Alabama, able to use that extra health coming in. But
Absolutely.
unfortunately for Sinister, that High Noon was able to catch him out.
It does look like these teams are very, very well matched, which, what I see it coming to, unfortunately, in a lot of these team fights is their usage of their ultimates. We do notice Limestone tends to stack their ultimates more so on top of each other, and we see South Alabama kind of spreading them out a little bit more. So it'll be interesting to see how these 2 different strategies pair up.
Right, and we say interesting. We see that Tunica actually swapping off the Diva over to the Zarya. She realized that just those 2 beams going through her DM wasn't offering enough. Wasn't not offering enough utility for the team, so she swaps over the Diva, gets those 2 bubbles to help her team survive a little more.
And it does look like Whisper is now playing a Hanzo, and we get a switch over to Symmetra.
Got a kill coming out from Sinister, but a counter pick coming on to Vulture. It's still 4v4 on this point. South Alabama getting poked down a little bit, but I say that
Flexliam is incredibly low here. That is their main support. Flexliam has to stay alive here if they want this team fight to continue, especially with Sinister and Neptunica going down. And I believe that will be a recapture for Limestone as South Alabama regroups. It's a very, very
interesting to see the Junkrat coming out here.
I do think it would be the play here. I don't think the Hanzo was getting the value that he needed, unfortunately.
I agree with that, but also just the spam coming in from Junkrat. Zarya is able to just sit there, take some of that spam, get some beam charge going up.
Yes.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how South Alabama plays around that and their Zarya.
Hopefully they can just shred that bubble. That's kind of their only option right now.
South Alabama looking to engage right here. They need to be careful for any kind of little mishaps walking off the back of the map.
That's an incredible Zarya ult coming out from Grig, and an equally incredible Lucy ult coming out from Sinister, but it will be in vain because 3 of South Alabama's players go down. Make it almost 4, but not quite.
And I want to point out the ult economy usage there. South Alabama on engage gets grabbed from Limestone. They have to beat to sustain, but South Alabama, you could tell, was planning on Kriko ulting onto point, so they used both support ults. However, if you look at Limestone, Limestone was able to use both of their support ults as well. So I would like to say that South Alabama did get a little bit of a upper hand on that fight.
They do still have their Zarya ult, which can be incredibly dangerous with a Junkrat.
And we see it there. Was not able to capture that kill onto the Zarya. However, they do rush down on the Sojourn, then the Moira, and the backline of Limestone, able to kill them. There's Zarya soon to follow. South Alabama, a great aggressive push coming in from them, able to flip the point back over.
And this is whoever takes the second point wins this match in particular. So they are fighting as hard as they possibly can. South Alabama only in the 30s, and Limestone just 8% away from the win.
Neptunica needs to be careful here. She's caught out in the middle of the open. She doesn't want to have her team use too many resources, and yeah, there it is. She's just caught out from that McCree ult.
Just a little bit of an overextension, and both DPS ults are coming out. We do have Neptunica respawning, but Whisper will go down, and I'm not sure if South Alabama will be able to hold this point long enough.
Sinister down. That was their big stall potential there, too. Vulture's down. Flex Lamb soon to follow. Yep, there he is. Neptunica, it's all on her touch. She does not get the touch. Limestone, a great turnaround from map 1 going into map or round 2 and 3 in this map. Able to kind of reverse it on South Alabama.
I think they did very, very well playing with their counter picks, and I know that that's a controversial thing to say in Overwatch 2, but it really did work, and it showed in that second match. In particular, I think our third match was kind of more so a battle of the ults, well timed. I mean, Grigonator's Zarya ult has caught, I believe, all 5 of South Alabama's players.
Yeah, that it did. But I do want to say for that third round, I think the one thing South Alabama can learn from that map is positioning. Neptuna getting caught out there from the high noon,
Yes.
and having Flex Slam use the Suzu on her pretty early was a little bit of a overcommitment of
Resources.
team utility. Yeah.
Yes.
So Neptunica getting picked off from that high noon from McCree kind of opened up the door for Limestone to take that map.
Exactly. And I think South Alabama is definitely doing a great job trying to work around this other team, and it's incredibly close, but I think their positioning would give them that little bit of an upper hand that they need here.
But
Well,
yeah,
we'll be back
like you said,
shortly with the second map, I guess.
yep.
We're just still waiting on it currently, but we'll be back shortly. And welcome back to Game 2 of the University of South Alabama versus Limestone University in Overwatch 2. Uh, it looks like we have some picks coming out, but the game refuses to show us. Oh,
For everyone that,
interesting.
yeah, for everyone that's not able to see behind the scenes, we had Blizzard World come out as a map ban, and South Alabama chose to go to Kings Row, a fan favorite of the Overwatch community. So I will like to see how South Alabama does here.
And it does look like we see a widow on the side of Limestone University.
And that's to be expected here. A lot of players like to go for a little quick grapple shot or just stand in the window already and just take a pop shot. Sometimes you'll see them roll out of spawn with it and set up on perch on top of the bus,
I
but
really worry about Flex Slam in this position with that Widow.
yeah, and I don't think he's ready for it.
It does
Yeah,
look like they'll
Vulture gets shot there.
notice and reposition here. We did have a tank switch, by the way. We did switch from Isabel Neptunica over to Big Jimmy, and he looks like he is going with Orisa here.
Arissa's a great option here too. She offers so much frontline, and with that Ana, I mean,
I do think that she offers a really, really good option to counter Zarya here. Does look like Vulture will pick off their Widow and their Moira, but Moira will take our Junkrat in return.
Vulture with
But
a third on the
Vulture
Hanzo, yeah.
going off, goodness.
Vulture is looking at heads, popping heads. That's 3 for Vulture. Gets a nice little team fight win for South Alabama. Speaking of the Widow pick, we see LSM swap off the Widow onto the Sojourn. Offers a little more poke and constant pressure towards Jimmy. So I'd like to see kind of how that plays out for him.
You know what? You don't even need a Widow if you have Connor on Ashe for South Alabama. He'll just play her like a Widow. And she'll take out the Sojourn, but Tokyo will get a nice clean headshot onto Flex Slam South Alabama's Ana. And it does look like Limestone is still trying to be aggressive here.
Vulture again gets another pick onto Susano, and then
does,
Tokyo counterpicks again. It's a back and fight fourth coming out from these two teams.
It does look like we dropped beat there on South Alabama side, and Limestone is using that Moira ult, but it seems to get quite high value as Limestone's able to get some percentage off on this first point here. There's so many ults happening at once. Apologies. But we do have Bob coming out on point as well as Hanzo ult, able to get Limestone's Moira down as well.
A nice little 3 coming in from Whisper, 2 from the Dragon Strike, 1 from a shot onto Susano. Grig is able to counterpick onto Vulture, but South Alabama did enough there to win it back over this point. I kind of got worried there seeing Big Jimmy push up a little too far, gets picked early, but fortunately for South Alabama, Whisper's able to get 3 with his Dragon Strike.
You know, I think he heard me earlier when I said that his Hanzo didn't get much value, and he is taking it back. South Alabama's DPS just going absolutely crazy this game. Flex Slam will go down to Kiriko once again.
See South Alabama doing a little more poking, see if they can whittle down some of the HP bars coming in from Limestone. Nice little pick coming in from Vulture onto Susano, put South Alabama up 5-4 in this fight.
Does look like we have
comes in from LSM.
Ult coming out. We do also have Beat coming out. I'm wondering if we see that Nano coming out as South Alabama tries to hold this first point for at least 60 more seconds.
I would like to see this Nano used defensively as well. Once Big Jimmy gets whittled down a little bit, pop it on him.
I am very worried about Susano's ult. It will get Big Jimmy, and I do believe that will be this first point for Limestone.
Very expensive fight coming out from Limestone. Limestone had used 3 ults there, disrupt their economy a little bit. South Alabama also used both their support ults. So I guess it works out for Limestone, but if South Alabama would have recognized that and saved those support ults, that could have been pretty rough for Limestone coming into the second point.
It does look like Limestone's trying to play for some space here. One thing I will say about their Moira is they are pumping out those ults. And we just see them ult constantly, it seems like.
She has about every other fight, and that can swap a team fight over for Limestone. But I say that Whisper gets a nice little headshot coming on to Susano. LSM gets a counter pick onto Whisper. 4v4 here on cart.
You know, I really like how Big Jimmy is playing this Orisa, really pushing back any attempts to progress into his backline. We do see the Kiriko ult pushing South Alabama back significantly, however. We do
still needs to be careful here, he is split.
Orisa ult, I'm wondering if that comes out soon as they try and stop Limestone for reaching this checkpoint.
I think they might be going for an Orisa ult with a Junkrat ult. That'll be a very expensive team fight, but it can definitely win them the fight. I say that Susano gets a big pick onto Big Jimmy. That's a lot of that frontline pressure coming in.
Susanna will counter back and take down Vulture, and Limestone will capture that checkpoint and have 3 minutes remaining to get to the end of this payload.
Limestone's doing really good work with these Zarya bubbles, being able to protect their teammates if they push up a little too far. Great peel from the bubbles as well, and the healing coming in from the Limestone backline is just keeping up their front line and their DPS.
It looks like Whisper was relatively uncontested on that high ground, but he still gave it up, which is interesting. We do see the tire coming out. Able to get 2 picks, including the tank and LSM, as well as
And
the
that leaves
second
Susano,
DPS.
yeah, that leaves Susano out to dry, gets picked off really quickly from South Alabama jumping on him. That's a nice team fight win coming from South Alabama. Not too expensive either. It only costed them the Junkrat tire, and Junkrat can build that back up really, really quickly.
We look very equivalent here in standings in terms of ults. So it's interesting to see how this team fight is going to play out. I think we're about to see a Q battle, if I had to guess.
Nice pick coming in from Whisper, yeah.
We do
Little
have
solo grab onto Sinister. Sinister has to use that sound barrier to keep himself alive. Gets out to the rest of the team. The rest of the team pushes up. Nice kill coming in from Big Jimmy onto the opponent, or Limestone's tank. Nice little team fight win coming up from South Alabama. Only had to use that sound barrier in exchange for that grav, so pretty even team fight exchange.
as much of a Q battle as I was expecting, but we're getting there as there's only 1 minute and 20 seconds left on this clock. We do see that Hanzo ult coming through, kind of blocking Zarya off completely from the rest of their team.
Unfortunately, South Alabama not able to get that pick onto the Zarya. Nice little Suzy coming in from Tokyo to save Grig on that front line.
Followed up
Beetle
by that
does,
Moira ult.
yeah, Beetle uses that Moira ult. Doesn't get too much value there.
We do have a Nano Orisa with ult. Doesn't get any picks, but severely displaces Limestone here as they have 45 seconds left. That Kiriko ult coming out on Limestone's side, as well as Susano, does push South Alabama back, so I do not believe that it will get a pick, but it will buy Limestone quite a lot of space. And I believe they will be able to push the point to the end here. Depends on that tire, though. Tire only gets one of them.
You know, as this cart gets pushed in, I do want to say Tokyo has been doing really good work with his Suzu placement, able to deny the anti coming in from Flex Slam on that Ana.
Yes.
You saw it on third there whenever the Dragons went through point to separate that Zarya into South. She was anti, didn't have any bubble cooldowns available to her, and a
Incredibly low.
and a great Suzu throw coming in from Tokyo, able to save his tank.
I'm very, very excited to see 10 very good players going head to head here. And I'm interested to see if we have any hero swaps. We did see a May come out at the very, very end there, but I'm interested to see who we pick from the start here. Does look like we have a Ramatra coming out, and we do see that May here. So it's a Reaper, a Baptiste, and a Lucio. Alright. Does look like we have relatively the same composition coming from Limestone, except they are switching out Susano from McCree to Junkrat.
And I do like this comp coming in from South Alabama. It's going to be really, really brawly. They're going to be looking to kind of run over and separate some of Limestone with that May wall, run over them, and get some early picks for a nice little easy team fight. But they don't know Susano's on this Junkrat. He's off the McCree, and Junkrat very good with dealing with those May walls. So I like to see kind of how South Alabama deals with that going into these fights.
Exactly. I also want to see how a Lucio Baptiste plays out here. We do have quite a lot of damage coming in here, but supports are on their top game.
Look
like we have
calling very low here. Needs to be a little careful, not get picked off too early in the team fight. Wall comes out early from Whisper. They don't have that separation tool that they were looking for.
It does look like Limestone's pushed back significantly, but South Alabama not able to find a pick, but very close to it with their take. The Brigadier able to get Vulture first. We do have BAP window available now.
That's exactly what I was talking about. Tokyo again throws down Suzu at the perfect time to save their Zarya. If Zarya would have went down there, I think it would have been a very different story for Limestone. South Alabama probably able to capture that point, if not, at least very close to it.
We do have
Nice little
Beat
beat.
coming out aggressively here as South Alabama pushes directly into Limestone as well as that BAP window. But that tire is huge. But don't
And
worry
I really like
about
that
it.
play. I really
Well,
like that play. Beat aggressively, window for corner, and take a lot of space away from Limestone, make them back up into streets phase of Kings Row.
am I wrong or did Flexlone or I believe Flexlane threw down a lamp there for tire, did he
He
not?
did, and it was a preemptive lamp too. He heard the Junkrat Q for the tire, and you would have thought Suzuno, seeing that tire because he does have third person vision with that, you thought he would have probably kind of saved it up top, but he went ahead and sent it in and
That
kind
lamp
of got
saves
countered.
his team. It's a very, very good lamp from Flexlane here. We do see South Alabama playing very incredibly for space here, but we will see Zarya go ahead and bring out that old Vulture. Big Jimmy taking quite a lot of damage here.
That lamp coming in from Flex, I'm a little too late to be able to save Vulture. Limestone able to clean up that fight with using two ults, pretty expensive in comparison towards South.
But I mean, Limestone still does have both their support ults here for their next team fight. But I worry how that'll go as we see Ramatra ult coming out.
Early pick coming on to Sinister, and Ramat, yeah, just absolutely melted from that the right click from Sojourn as well as Susano on that Junkrat.
And the second that Immortality Field went down, so did Big Jimmy. South Alabama is going to have to push incredibly hard here to gain back that space. I wonder if we'll see any switches coming out because of it. Vulture will go down again to LSM. And South Alabama progresses into this team fight down to DPS.
And Flexflame does have this window, and I like to see him use it kind of like he did whenever they captured A point. Just put it on corner, be able to take some space with that extra amplified damage.
Exactly. Does look like we have May ult coming out that will displace Limestone significantly and give
Really
South
aggressive
Alabama
push coming out from South. Yeah, very aggressive push coming out from South Alabama. You could tell in the comms, they said, we are taking this corner, we're going to speed. Big Jimmy able to pop his transformation to go over to the fist and absolutely just pummel in Brig on the front line.
It's a nice little stagger LSM there. But Susanna is stuck behind South Alabama currently, which means any fight happening for Limestone on the front line is automatically down at DPS. What's bad for South Alabama
for this tire, yeah.
is that tire coming out, and if they're not ready for it,
and look at that early window,
and as well as the preemptive lamp, South Alabama staying within. We see Beat coming out as well as this Kiriko ult gives Limestone the extra damage that they need. Big Jimmy able to pick off Susano, but Vulture will go down in return.
An extremely scrappy fight coming in from both sides. A lot of ults being used, thrown all over the place. Very, very hectic on this point, and I can only imagine what the players are seeing on their screen in these team fights.
And it does look like Big Jimmy will go down as Sinister and Vulture back up to regroup and try and push the payload.
Very expensive fight
more.
coming out for both sides. I mean, both sides use 3 ults. The Grav, Tire, and Kasune coming out from Limestone. Both support ults, as well as the Overclock coming in from South. South Alabama not able to win that fight, even though they did use 3 of their ults.
I do expect to see that May ult used pretty aggressively here, as well as Big Jimmy. I really want to see him alive as long as possible within his Ramatra ult, because I think that will give South Alabama exactly the value that they need here. We see that aggressive May coming out, as Moira ult coming out from Limestone's side. We are pressing Q here, ladies and gentlemen. Does look like South Alabama has the advantage here in capturing this point if Big Jimmy can just stay alive in the last 60 seconds.
Big Jimmy trying to kill this Junkrat is unable to. Junkrat actually, Susano able to kill Big Jimmy instead. I do want to say though, the lamp placement coming in from Flex Lamp is a little bit of like I said
Questionable.
early, yeah, it's a little questionable. He placed it down really early there. I think he was trying to save Whisper, but Whisper I think was already dead.
You
Um,
have to be careful with those lamps because they have such a long cooldown and they're just like Suzu. You kind of have to use them almost immediately, and the only difference between a lamp and Suzu is that the second a lamp is down, that enemy team, or you throw a lamp down, that enemy team is going to target it. We do have BAP window coming in here. Hopefully that will be exactly what
South needs
South
to be careful
Alabama
from this
needs.
tire coming out from Susano. Here it is. Does not have the window, and a big 3K coming in from Susano. We saw that one happening.
And it looks like Sinister is left all alone with the entirety of Limestone. So there's only 5 seconds left, and a team kill comes out, and that will be game for Limestone University.
Great job from Limestone. I do want to shout out Tokyo. Just kind of like after the first round, Tokyo is doing an amazing job with his Suzu placements, able to save his front line as well as his DPS in sticky situations.
We see
Whenever they
this
drop low, just throws
Empire
them out.
here.
Yep.
That gave Limestone University the game. I do think that this was an incredibly close game between both universities, but Limestone rightfully takes it within the end. They played incredibly.
Yeah, and now we move to match point for Limestone. See if Limestone can do a full sweep on South, or South Alabama is actually able to reverse sweep Limestone. I think we're going to be going to a quick short break as we get some map bans in and some bio breaks, but
Enjoy a glass of water, and we'll be back very shortly. and welcome back to our third game here of the University of South Alabama versus Limestone University. It does look like we get a nice new look at this map in daytime. So it looks like Griginator is pulling out a Sigma. We have that pharmacy that we saw in that first map on game 1. And we have Arissa with Big Jimmy, Whisper as Ash, and Vulture as Soldier. We have Mercies on both sides. That'll also be quite interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume that the Mercy's probably gonna be pocketing the Ash for South Alabama, and then Mercy, of course, for the pharmacy on the side of Limestone. You would have thought we would have seen some double snipers coming out from both sides with Sigma, Hanzo, and Widowmaker, but looks not to be the case. Got a pharmacy coming out from Limestone and double poke coming out from South.
It does look like Tokyo has really good positioning on the side of Limestone, staying completely behind cover. Now they did just nerf Mercy actually to make her movement much more difficult and incredibly punishing. Susanna there able to take out Whisper 2001 for South Alabama, and South Alabama is pushed back here as Limestone takes control over this payload and grabs himself some space. We do see another pick coming out from LSM onto Vulture for South Alabama's side.
And I think the only reason they were able to get that pick there is a great rock coming in from Greg. Catches Vulture out alone on corner, rocks him, and nice little cleanup from LSM.
You know, I gotta tell you, South Alabama, you really need to focus on that Mercy whenever she's visible. Tokyo is being very good at playing cover here as much as she possibly can. As you can see her little red outline to the left there. She is almost never visible to South Alabama, so when she is, you have to put every single bullet into her that you can. We will see a pick coming out onto Susanna from Vulture here.
Marchand already has that ultimate as well as Flex. LSM, nice little kill coming on to Vulture. That's a one-hit scan out of the way for them.
And that makes their pharmacy just that much more viable. Again, South Alabama, you really need to find a way to kill that Mercy if pharmacy becomes that big of a problem. And it looks like it might be because LSM is getting quite a lot of value for Limestone here.
Yeah, and just a lot of free real estate coming for Limestone. South Alabama held on a window on top of B, was not holding corner. Nice little kill coming in from Susanna's Bob. Greg gets another kill onto Whisper. Yeah, it's just looking like it's falling apart a little bit for South Alabama, backing up so much.
And it does look like South Alabama is going to struggle here if they aren't able to take control of this Sigma and this Farah. I mean, they seem to be taking a lot of control and pacing in the game to their advantage.
Yeah, and like we're saying about the pharmacy, but you see South Alabama brings out a Junkrat. I don't really know what the Junkrat's going to offer for them in this composition.
I think you definitely have to run double hit scan on whatever you're comfortable in. And that tire just not able to reach Susanna there. But you honestly have to run double hit scan here until you force that Farah to switch off. She's become such a problem for South Alabama. Marchand able to get that res up on a Flex Land and Whisper, able to take down Susanna. South Alabama wins this fight, but there are 5 minutes for Limestone to get just a little bit further.
But I want to see Vulture go to high ground. Vulture has this tag visor, probably is going to get nanoed from Flex Slam.
You can partner that as well with Mercy damage boost and just absolutely team wipe.
Right, but Vulture doesn't have much room to work with here. He's not on high ground. He's shooting from low.
Now he gets
grabbed there, yeah.
He needs to pop it. Limestone is getting way too much space here. This Marchand's doing an excellent job of staying out of LOS.
Big Jimmy goes down here. Yeah, no front line for South. Nice little kill coming in from Greg onto Whisper, and yeah.
If I'm honest, in that circumstance, you have to drop your nano on that Arissa. Marchand trying to go for the stall, but that will be a round complete for Limestone on their attacking side with 4 minutes remaining on that clock. That is
and a really fast domination, like a really fast dominant one too. 4:05 left on time bank for Limestone. I worry for South here.
I worry for South as well here. They
That
really,
pharmacy,
really need to pick it up
yeah,
again.
that pharmacy is just doing so much work on them. We say that they need to focus on them, but then we see Whisper go over to the Junkrat, a very not very optimal pick. I would say
And you
for the
know,
situation.
we do say, focus pharmacy, focus pharmacy. Any Overwatch player knows how difficult it can be to focus pharmacy, especially when you have a player like Tokyo just staying behind every wall in sight, able to carry their far all the way to the end. Pretty much, I don't believe they. I'm not sure if they died at all, to be honest. I think they died maybe once, twice.
Yeah, and I was about to say this is exactly what I wanted about Vulture being on this Widow, but Vulture swaps back on over to the Ashe. I think Widow could do a lot of work here. She has that one shot pick potential that you're kind of looking for. Um, if they were running the pharmacy, but we see Limestone actually swap off the pharmacy. Pharmacy is a little harder to use on defense. They go over to the Sojourn and Ashe with the Ana instead of Mercy. Looking for a little bit more of a poke style comp coming in from Limestone.
I think South Alabama goes double hit scan that they're comfortable here because they were anticipating that pharmacy, but they got a little bit lucky here being sparred from pharmacy. But that is not necessarily a good thing as Tokyo. It's a very, very scary support, especially on that Ana, with South Alabama not having a Kiriko available.
Big Jimmy dives high ground, is able to push off a good bit of Limestone. Big Jimmy does get dropped very, very low though. Is able to get out and get held up from the supports. LSM gets a nice little right click onto Whisper.
I'll be honest here, Big Jimmy just bought South Alabama a lot of space, but he had to back away and reposition due to his low health, and they just weren't able to hold that space as long as they hoped for. If South Alabama may need to reconsider their healing output at this point. It's inarguable that Limestone is outputting more damage, and South Alabama needs to come up with a plan to combat that.
I think the healing is fine. Like both healers already have their support ults, and it's just under a minute into the round, or over a minute into the round.
That is true, and D.Va able to get quite a bit of value out of that Nano there, but will ultimately lose his life.
I think what's mainly happening in these team fights is that the South DPS are getting picked off very, very early, so they're not able to put out any kind of pressure like Limestone's DPS are doing, and it just kind of falls apart from there.
I think Limestone's target prioritization is pretty good here. They tend to focus supports when they can, but otherwise they full focus their fire into the DPS. They just absolutely shred that D.Va when necessary. It's a very, very scary crew from Limestone over here. We do have 3 ults coming through. Whisper and Big Jimmy able to get one, make it 3 actually.
Yeah, and South Alabama should be able to win this one out here. Coalescence coming in from Limestone, very questionable. It'll be interesting to see, if they're able to win this.
Trying to save that Sigma or hold on to them as long as possible. I think what Limestone might be going for here is just burning down South Alabama's time as much as possible. They know even if South Alabama reaches the end in time, that they have 4 minutes left in that 3rd round.
Yeah, and we say that, but South Alabama not able to capitalize on a 5v2. Beetle's able to keep Greg up long enough for all 3 members from the respawn room for Limestone. They're able to come back and turn the fight completely around for him.
And now South Alabama only has 60 seconds to take back and push that payload just a little bit more. Otherwise, that will be game and match for Limestone.
And South Alabama does not have much to work with here. They have the Nano from Flex online, a Overclock coming in pretty soon from Vulture, as well as a Valkyrie coming in from Marchon. South Alabama needs to be careful from this poke.
I highly anticipate that Sigma ult coming out very, very shortly. as South Alabama's back line is grouped up under this bridge. We will get a very, very good nade coming out from Anna there to save her team. South
Nice
Alabama, you
shot coming in from Whisper.
only have
Able to
five
take out.
seconds here. South Alabama has to stay on this payload or it is game over. We see a good Hanzo ult coming in. Whisper able to pick off that Sigma, and South Alabama should most certainly be able to get this point in a 2v1 against, or a 5v2 against supports. This Moira
Yeah,
delayed as much as possible, but Whisper able to pick out both of them and stagger Limestone supports.
pretty expensive fight coming in from South Alabama. Both support ults are used, but Flex Flame is back up to 60% of that next nano. If you notice there, Beetle was able to get another coalescence on during that fight. He's building them really, really fast. That's what you kind of like to see out of your supports.
One thing I don't really appreciate here is look at where South Alabama is playing around this corner. It is very, very difficult if you're playing payload strictly here. You do have that Sigma ult up and ready to go. Their backline is grouped together. I think this would definitely be a time to play for space while you can, because Limestone is pushing back and they are pushing back hard.
Yeah, what I think South Alabama needs to do is back up and retreat. You do not want to suffer any more losses in this team fight. The only thing that this does now is just extend the time that you have to wait for a nice clean re-engage. See Ash up on the high ground there, putting in some pot shots in South Alabama. I don't think she's going to be contested too much from South. The only person who can contest them is, in my opinion, Flex Slam.
Exactly. I mean, we still have that Sigma ult on Big Jimmy coming through.
Bob coming in from Susano goes straight into the back. Nice placement. Is going to separate Marchon completely out of the fight for a good 10-15 seconds.
We will use quite a lot of utility on that Bob, so we only have 60 seconds left at this point. We still have that Sigma ult. We have both support ults available for South Alabama.
And I want to point out, into that fight, Whisper swapped over to the Junkrat, gave up a lot of ult charges from the Hanzo, and swapped back over to the Hanzo. Kind of, I think, a little miscommunication coming in from the team, giving up a lot of that ult charge. Pick coming in from Zidane on the Vulture that just delays South Alabama even more time. South Alabama only has about 15 seconds to get left up to this payload and trigger overtime. Whisper, nice little 2K.
And now we do see our Sigma ult, but it is unable to grab anyone. No, I'll be honest here. Big Jimmy held on to that ult so long he had it available when Sigma last ulted, and then Griganator was able to ult again. You see Coalescence keeping Griganator alive here, and it does not look good for South Alabama in this overtime.
And look at this, look at this. We have Nanoblade coming on for Limestone. Got to be careful here, and there it is. Nice kill onto Marchon and on the Flex Land. That's the backline of South Alabama out of the fight. Anti on the Vulture.
Indeed. And this looks like game for Limestone University. And that will be 3-0 to Limestone University. And that will be all of our matches for today. Congratulations to every single one of the players at Limestone University. All of you are incredibly talented and played very, very well. Also, a huge congratulations to South Alabama's player for putting up an incredible fight. Yeah, it may have been a 3-0, but every single match was close in its own regard, and we saw a lot of really great plays coming out from every single player that showed up today, and I hope everyone watching enjoyed themselves thoroughly. And we will be back next week with Overwatch 2 and NECC Week 2.